Hello everyone, this is Michelle Wedertz, and I'm here to share a new 12 by 12 layout that I created using the June scrapbook kits from Hip Kit Club. So when I was deciding what to do with this layout, I decided that I really wanted to use a journaling sticker that came in the June main scrapbook kit. And as you can see here, they're a little bit smaller than a 3 by 4, so they couldn't fill a pocket on their own, but I thought they would be perfect to run through um, my own typewriter and write down my details to go with this photo. Now, I knew a grid design layout would be kind of a really easy solution as to how to incorporate that onto my page. So you can see here is I kind of did a preliminary setup of where I think I want my grid to go. And then I'm going to go ahead and change up my usual process and do a little bit of mixed media. Now, this process is not my own, not something I actually came up with. It's something I learned from watching Missy Whitten's videos on YouTube. She's one of the scrapbookers that I binge watched, and she really taught me quite a bit. And I found a technique that she used that I was really comfortable with. So what this entails is you take a sheet of plastic. I just cut off some of the plastic from a thicker set, and then I spray some mist onto the plastic sheet. And then after I do that, I am going to take the plastic sheet and kind of smush it all together, kind of get that color spread out. If you just go ahead and lay it down right after you spray it, it's going to look exactly like that. And I want it to have a little bit more concentration of color, so that's why I kind of smushed, for lack of a better word, all of the ink onto that plastic sheet. And then I'm going to go ahead and lay it down. Go ahead and just kind of play with that color and kind of smush it all down, and I'm going to get a really nice color on there. So I went on diagonal direction because that's going to be how my layout design is going to go, and so that's how I decided to go ahead and lay down that mist on my paper. So I went ahead and have my journaling ready to go. It's actually a sticker, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just cut it out. For the moment while it's still on the backing. That way I can move it around before I decide exactly where I want it to go. It's really nice when you get these sticker sheets in a kit because if you like to journal with your typewriter, they work perfectly. I can just slip it in and it fits, and then I've got my journaling down, and that was one of the reasons I really was interested in using, or excuse me, I was excited when I saw these included in the kit because I know that I'm going to get a lot of use out of them because I like to use my typewriter. So as you saw earlier, I had like a preliminary design. When I create a grid layout, I really like to fill at least 3 of those spots in, 3 out of 4. Sometimes I do 4 out of 4, which is what I'm going to do here. But when I do this, I always like to include a thin strip somewhere spacing out my grid design. Like, for example, I am going to use a paper strip that I cut off of another piece of pattern paper from the kit, and I'm going to actually put that between the top level and the bottom level of my grid. And what this is going to do is it's going to break up my grid and make it a little bit more pronounced. Second, it's actually going to provide a spot for me, or a natural spot for me to put my title on. So that's one of the reasons when I like to create grids, I always try to include some sort of paper strip. That's going to, number one, like I said, break up my design, and second, it's going to make a nice spot for usually a title, but it could also be something I could use to embellish on. So I contemplated adding a little bit extra color, but in the end, I decided I was just going to go with this. That red paper is pretty darn bold, so I think that plus the paper strip with the hearts on it was going to introduce enough color into my layout. So at this point, before I go ahead and adhere anything, I'm going to start playing around with possible embellishments, bigger embellishments, as well as titles. I do all of this before I glue those paper and photo down, just in case I want to change things up, because sometimes it doesn't work exactly as I see it in my head. So I've decided that I really like this floral sticker, and I'm going to go ahead and incorporate that somehow. One of the reasons why I like it is because it's a different shape than the squares, lots of roundness to those flowers. It's fairly big, so it's going to draw your attention to the photo, which is where I'm going to put it near. And second, it adds extra color. So without overwhelming it, because it's not just another pattern like that paper strip that I had earlier down on the side that I was contemplating using. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with that cardstock sticker, but I'm not going to actually lay it down yet because I am still going to figure out exactly what kind of a title I'm going to use. Now, the stickers that I'm looking at, I have absolutely loved. They came in the kit. And when I use something like this, I really like to cut them up. I like to be able to see exactly where they're going to go on the layout before I decide and go ahead and use them. And I like to cut them out pretty, not too precisely, but enough so I can see if perhaps I'm going to layer it over something, if it's going to be blocking something that I want to show. That way I can go ahead and adjust it. So right now, if you can see, I confused myself by cutting off the ST to the greatest. And I'm looking at that word thinking, they spelled create wrong. And then it didn't dawn on me until later that I had cut the ST off and it was really supposed to be greatest. So yeah, there you go. I'm a dork, but I'm okay with that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out and lay it down on that paper strip and see if that is exactly how I want to go with my layout. So at this point, I have the sticker that I chose, the flower, as well as my title already laid down on that. And as I'm looking at it on the video, you can kind of see that it doesn't look like the title is as obvious, as it looks a little like it's blending in with the background, but in real life it looks very prominent, and you can see that it says wonderful right there. So now this is basically the foundation of my layout. The rest is just going to be deciding what embellishments I want and where I want them to go. Now, I know that we've heard that, you can put to embellish in 3 spots like a triangle. That way you can move your eye around the layout in that direction, and that is something I don't always follow, but in this layout, that is exactly what I'm going to do. Now, when I am embellishing, I like to always make one area be more embellished, meaning that is going to be the main attention getter, and then the other 2 are just going to be minor accents. I don't want to have 3 big giant embellishment clusters, because in my own scrapbooking, I think that kind of takes away from the photo, and the photo is ultimately what I want to shine here. So what I'm looking for are small embellishments that match the colors on that flower and the heart strip. So I'm pulling out some of the stickers from the sticker book that came in the project or the Pocket Life kit, and I am going to play around with them, but I'm eventually going to go ahead and pull them off because it's just not adding the right amount of color, and I think because they're so similar to the square and rectangles that I already have on the paper, that is just too much. So I'm going to actually, you'll see me, I'm going to put those away, even though I try valiantly to include them on there. It's not going to be a go for me at this point. So one of the other options that I'm going to look at is adding another floral sticker. There's a smaller one on that same sticker sheet, and I think that's a great way to kind of make some continuity amongst my embellishing. My pattern papers were pretty not bland, but pretty mellow. They don't have a big floral motif or anything. It's all very graphic or muted, so I felt that I could use that bolder and brighter floral stickers to bring some different shapes and color to the layout. Now, before one of the things I did consider was I cut out a banner from the cutout sheet from one of the pattern papers that are in the kit, and I liked it because it was yellow, but it just wasn't just gonna flow. So I abandoned that idea pretty quickly, and I'm gonna go back and, as I said earlier, go ahead and use a smaller floral sticker and make that my part of my second embellishment cluster. Now, when I'm embellishing, I like to look for littler shapes, maybe two different varieties, so that it's not all the same. And I also like to be repetitive in what I choose. So, for instance, I know that in the kits have some chipboard pieces, and one of them includes some hearts and includes this arrow, as well as some phrase stickers. So I really like this cardstock arrow, but I'm going to go ahead and add it to the main embellishment cluster just to add a little bit more detail and fill in that space. Lately, I've really been liking playing around with where my title is and giving that my most attention. So I put that arrow on there. I'm going to go ahead and add a tiny attacher staple to it to look like I've stapled it to the paper, when in reality I've just stuck it down with adhesive. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a phrase sticker underneath it. It's a chipboard piece, I believe, just to give my title a little bit more interest. And then my final touches are going to be some of the silvery little hearts. I'm going to put those in in two different places to complete my little visual triangle. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some of the enamel hearts that were included in one of the kits for June. So thanks for stopping by today. This is going to be my last layout with the June kits. The July kits just arrived. I'm looking forward to opening them. I hope you enjoyed my layout and got some inspiration today. Thanks for stopping by.